Thank you, David Moore. How we doing tonight, guys?
You start with an update on Zach Martin's status and when you anticipate being able to work him back in out here.
Yeah, he got an MRI yesterday, and it looks like there's some irritation to a disc back there. So I think the plan right now is to rest him and rehab him here for a few days, maybe even up to a week or so, and just see how he responds to that. Obviously, he's as tough as they come, and he'll do everything he can possible. But I think it's probably in his best interest right now to dial him back off the practice field and see how it responds to that.
Coach, is this something he's been dealing with since the offseason, or is this something that cropped up just here recently?
I know he has a little history with it at some point, but I don't know if it's been recent history. Again, he's as tough as they come. So for him to come out of practice and go get an MRI, that's a big feat. So we just think this is the right way to handle it given what he has right now.
You talked to us yesterday a little bit about the 2-minute work that you guys like to do. Why is that so important in your mind to work on it as much as you do?
Yeah, just because those situations come up so much in games. Every week it's before the half or at the end of the game, your offense is out there or your defense is out there, and you have to win that situation. The NFL is so competitive. These games come down. Whatever it was, 70% of the games were within one score of each other in the fourth quarter last year across the NFL. We certainly had a ton of them, and a lot of times people think that the teams that make the playoffs, well, they just blow people out. That's not the case. The numbers for the playoff teams are the same as everybody else, and probably the reason they make the playoffs to those final 12 teams, or they go to the final 8, or they go to the final 4, is just how they handle those situations. So they come up every week and really try to pride ourselves on putting ourselves in those situations so we can respond accordingly.
How was Witten?
He hurt his calf, so he's not going to be able to practice today, and looks like he's going to be out for a little bit.
Do you have enough guards to get you through practices, or are you going to have to? I know you have some versatile linemen who can maybe.
Yeah, that's one of the things that happens in training camp is you'll lose a player at that position, and all of a sudden you'll say, okay, let's test this versatility of this guy, whether he's a young guy or a veteran guy, and to be honest with you, that's a fun challenge. And sometimes you can unearth some players in those situations. You're working a guy at this particular spot, and hey, let's put him in there at guard, and sometimes that becomes a more natural home for him. So we'll have to do that with the different units, juggle a few guys. We have Travis on this. Some days Travis is practicing, some days he isn't. So we have that mix going already. Zach being out, Wickman being out, it'll challenge us, but Coach Colombo will do a great job getting the right group up there.
Do y'all look at Looney right now as depth at center and guard?
Both. Obviously, he's had more experience playing center for us, all the time he played last year, but he certainly has the versatility to play guard. He's done that throughout his career.
Will Frederick go again today, or is this a day where he's not?
Travis is practicing today, yes.
Who gets days off today?
Witten, Tyron Smith, Jamil Showers.
How much more weight does the scrimmage tomorrow carry?
I just think it's the next step. We're evaluating players constantly, based on what they do in the meeting rooms, the walkthroughs, at practice, 1-on-1, 7-on-7, and then you get to team, right? And team's probably the most important. How do they respond to the 11-on-11 situations? And now this is a ramped-up version of team. A lot of tomorrow will feel a lot like what we do every day in practice. It'll be heavy situational. We'll do short yards and goal line. We'll do a lot of red zone. We'll have some 2-minute. We'll give the young guys a chance to scrimmage at the end, tackle each other, do all that. So it's kind of a ramped up version of what we've been doing, and it's the most ramped up situation we'll have up to this point. And we do that on purpose. Next week we'll play a preseason game. I think it gives the young guys in particular a chance to start to get their feet wet in these kinds of environments.
Jason Witten made some nice plays, obviously, yesterday in practice. I was just wondering, what did you need to see from him to know that, he's back? We're going to have the same Jason Witten that we had before he retired.
Yeah, Witt just handles everything the right way. I mean, he came back in shape going into the off-season program, handled the off-season program really well, got into OTAs. He seemed like himself. Again, we're dialing him back. We're giving him a day off here and there, to help them get through this like we do with some of our veteran players. But he's responded to everything really well. He looks like the same guy to me as a blocking tight end, as a receiving tight end. He did make a couple plays in practice yesterday, touchdowns for us when we're down in the red zone. And again, he's responded to everything really well. He looks like the guy that we've known for a long time.
On the 2-minute stuff, you guys have been successful in those situations, end of half, end of games. Why not play at that tempo more?
I guess the question you're asking is, why aren't we in no huddle? And I would say that we're in no huddle. We use that. That's part of our offense. Sometimes you go no huddle and you go fast. Sometimes you go no huddle and you just control the tempo by going fast and slow at the speed you want to. So that's been a big part of what we've done for a long time around here. Obviously, when you add the element of time to it, that's not something you can necessarily create in the middle of this first quarter. But we have used tempo a lot of different ways for a long time.
With your emphasis on 2-minute drill, does that, because you're always going to do something with it, do you kind of have a rotation on what you leave out in a practice period in order to always get that in and emphasize it? I mean, how do you accommodate getting it in all the time as much as you like to emphasize it?
Sometimes you have to adjust other things. Maybe you use that 2-minute as your team period that particular day. But again, we change those things around almost on a daily basis based on what the situation is. We'll do no huddle drives as if you are in the middle of the first quarter. That's part of practice some days. We'll do red zone drives. We'll do whatever those situations are. We'll do a few more of those as we lead up to the game next week. So typically we'll steal a team period to do it. Sometimes we do a full complement of practice and we do a shorter one at the end of practice. So you might tighten down an individual period to get that accommodated. So it's important stuff. We want to keep putting in front of our team.
Do you have a bare minimum you'll do every practice on 2 minutes, right?
We won't necessarily do it every single practice, but trust me, it's a huge point of emphasis for us and has been for a long time.
How do you think your special teams fared last year and where they need to grow?
I thought at times we did some good things. At other times, not quite as good. I think we always can improve on just making an impact on the game. And I think we did that a number of times, whether it's kicks made, returns, took the ball away a little bit, all of that. But we can improve in all those different areas. Certainly you want to create opportunities for your returners to be impactful. In this day and age, harder for kickoff returners, just the way the league rules are. But you want to take advantage of those opportunities. And certainly in the punt return game, we feel like we have some people who are capable of doing that. There's just a lot of ways to evaluate special teams. A lot of it's hidden yardage. We certainly can improve in those areas. Impactful plays, take advantage of opportunities when you have them in the return game or opportunities to score. So some of it was good, some of it was not good enough. We'll keep working on all of it. Typically that's a unit that is transformed year after year because many of the young guys on your team play significant roles there. So with the natural turnover from year to year on your team, you get a lot of new guys. So what happened last year isn't really going to impact what's happening now. We just got to get great with this unit right now.
How do you feel like your team responded with the NFL officials being on the field during the practice?
Yeah, really well. Tony Corrente was here. We had 6 other officials who are experienced NFL people, and I think they responded well. And it's really great, for us as a coaching staff to be able to say, that's how he's going to call it. Okay, so there's no discussion about it. He's going to call holding there. He's going to call, pass interference here. So just live with it and understand that that's what it is. And typically what happens is it kind of quiets both sides down, and it gives you an objective look at what may or may not happen on Sunday. So I think that's really good for your team. They'll be out here today again. They'll present to us tonight, and then they'll officiate for the blue-white tomorrow. So it's a good 3 days with them.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, good to see you guys.